and Southwest 134th at Western. And that is traffic in the Wally Kerr Traffic Center on KOMA. We've got Noble McIntyre back in studio. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you. Lots going on today, but we want to talk about the 80s, of course, because
Always.
It's an awesome 80s weekend. How about your favorite Super Bowl of the 80s?
Oh, man, there were some good ones. The 80s was dominated by the 49ers. I think they won 4 of those 10. The Raiders, my team, won 2 of those. And so between those 2 teams, there were 6 of the 10. My favorite is going to be 84. The Oakland Raiders against the Washington Redskins. Marcus Allen was the running back. I was a huge Raider fan. I was 14 years old. The reason I was a Raider fan was because back in those days, NFL players didn't make what they make now. And they actually worked summer jobs. And there was a summer employee for a company called Steiger Tractor where my dad worked, and his name was Errol Mann. He was the kicker for the Raiders, and he came to my little town in Burns Flat, and I'm 14 years old, and I have this guy kicking his football. He's an NFL player, so I fell in love with the Raiders, and so I'm a Raiders fan as a result. So the 1984 game where the Raiders won, I think 38-3, just demoralized the Washington Redskins, who I think won 2 Super Bowls that decade as well.
Wow, I can see a kid looking at him going, that's so cool.
I wanted to be a Raider. I wanted to be an NFL football player.
You know, I can remember when the guys at school, they all looked like they were part of the Oakland Raiders. They dressed the part.
I've been to an Oakland Raider game. Those people are crazy. And I'm a Raider fan.
Right.
They dress up. They're just nuts. It's just a fun, exciting environment. So, yeah, 84 for me. What about you?
Not that I remember a whole lot, but I want to say probably.
Oh, my God, stop.
The first one.
Okay.
Well, not the first one, but the first one of the 80s would have been Super Bowl 14, the Steelers versus the Rams in 1980.
That's a great one. I thought you'd say the 85 Bears. Jim McMahon, William Refrigerator Perry. Everybody knows the Super Bowl Shuffle.
That's
We've
true.
talked about that
That's
before.
true.
85 Bears, that Super Bowl was just crazy fun because they had such a persona on their team. Again, I think the 49ers were probably the team of the decade because they won 4 of the 10. But the Raiders, the Bears, and the Steelers, I mean, it was just a great time for football.
Everything was football. Now, my dad was a fan of the Packers, but they didn't really play that often in Super Bowls. I asked him, why did you like the Packers? And he couldn't explain it.
So my mother is a huge Green Bay Packer fan, and the Green Bay Packer is the only team that individual people can own a piece of the company. You can buy a single share of stock. So she has a 1 share of stock. It's the only one that's held by individuals. The reason she was a Packer fan is her father, my grandfather, James Noble, which is where I got my name Noble.
Yeah.
He played professional football for the precursor team to the Green Bay Packers. So it was before the NFL even existed, and it was the team that became the Green Bay Packers. So since her dad, my grandfather, played for the Packers, she's a lifelong Packer fan.
Wow.
See, maybe that's why.
That's crazy.
We talked about last week about the photographer that kind of ghosted a lot of people, including your daughter at the wedding. So how is that going? Can you say much about it?
So I can. Here we are 9 days later. I represent 28 brides that do not have their wedding footage and another 34 that have paid for weddings in 2025 for which they're concerned he's not going to show up. That's a whole different issue.
Wow.
My primary issue is the 28 and trying to get their footage back. And as I've told people when they've asked me about this, there's a time when aggression is the word of the day. I'm an unbelievably aggressive trial lawyer. I want to win. I want to succeed on behalf of my client, and I'm not going to stop until I do. But there's a point in litigation where you're winning, and you don't have to have your foot on their throat anymore. You don't have to keep dragging them under the bus. And we're to that point. He's cooperating through his attorney. I don't have a real good reason for why he's done what he's done, but I now know and have been advised that at least some, I don't know if all, because we're talking about really high-end weddings. Not the wedding I had in 1993 that cost me $7,500,
Right.
where Uncle Joe did the camera. I now know that at least some, hopefully all, footage exists for all 28. Hopefully it's all, but whatever it is, it's more than these brides had before. And so they are cooperating. I am going to be able to successfully deliver some footage, hopefully all. And so I think we're going to have a good resolution. And I had made a comment that, I'm happy to do this because everybody's thanking me. Happy to do it. Happy to do it for nothing. But please know, back in 88 to 92 when I was at Oklahoma Baptist University, I crashed a few weddings just for the cake. I love wedding cake. And I discovered if you just say, if asked that I'm with the groom's family, nobody questions you further. And so as I told another station, don't judge. I was poor and the cake was good. So I made a joke that I love wedding cake. Well, yesterday at my office, Allie's Boutique Bakery from El Reno showed up, and some of the brides had bought the topper off a wedding cake and delivered it to my office. So yesterday I'm in my office eating wedding cake. So I think I'm the only lawyer in Oklahoma that works for wedding cake.
You had a flashback.
But if you think that something's happened to you and you have a legal question, I answer questions for free for people all the time.
And you can also email us here at asknoble@tylermedia.com, as always.
Sure.
All right, thank you, Noble McIntyre. So who's your pick for the Super Bowl this weekend?
Well, I'm telling you, it's not Kansas City. I wanted desperately Buffalo to go. I'm a Josh Allen fan. He's lost to them 3 of the last 4 years. Since they got beat, I've got to go with the Eagles because Jalen Hurts is a former Oklahoma Sooner.
That's true.
So Boomer Sooner, baby.
I'm kind of up in the air. Although I will say that Kelsey looks better without his beard.
Yeah, well, Taylor probably made him shave.
She probably
so,
did.
but I'm going for the Eagles.
All right. We'll see what happens.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Noble McIntyre. McIntyre Law.
Thanks for
on
having
KOMA. Thank you.
Beach Bar Rum.
All right. That was awesome. Thank you, Noble McIntyre Law, for doing that this week. Thank you. We really appreciate it. As always, we love our talks with Noble McIntyre. I think they're pretty great. And yeah, so he's the only lawyer in Oklahoma who will work for wedding cake. That's crazy. I never had wedding cake, but I heard it's pretty good. So yeah, maybe I'll get a chance to try it one day. And if I get a chance to try it, I'll vlog my whole wedding cake experience. But that's awesome. And I don't really like the Super Bowl that much, so yeah, but I'm glad you two do, and have a great day. See you next week, Jennifer Lee. Bye.